Kill it with fire. So, we're talking about removal today, right?
Yes, we are. I'm Devin.
I'm Donzel the Eye Stealer.
And this is Bridging the Gap, and today we're going to talk about removal.
Everybody's favorite, least favorite subject. So, as one of the only blue players in the store, removal is kind of an important thing because nobody wants to be the character that, or not the character, but the person that has to remove whatever problematic things on the board, whether that be counter spells or just straight up, I kill that. What would be high targets for removal in your mind?
Anything that either wins immediately, like Thassa's Consultation, or Food Chain, or Dual Caster Mage with Twin Flame on the stack.
Mhm.
Anything that's an immediate problem, or anything that provides long-term value for a player.
So I'm thinking cards like Esper Sentinel, that stupid Bowmasters, and then last but not least, Dranith Magistrate, because it's a terribly designed card, because it says, hey, everybody can't play the format we literally signed up to play for, so rant aside. Remove Dranith Magistrate when you can, unless you're the one playing it, then have all the fun you want. But also, no, you probably aren't going to have a lot of friends, but you're playing cEDH. You don't have a lot of friends anyways.
So yeah, removal is important in any game. You want to make sure that you're able to interact with your opponent at any point, at any time.
Exactly.
You want to stay away from removal that's typically sorcery speed, just because by the time you're waiting for it to be your turn and you had open mana open, you could have done something proactive so that way on your turn, you can use that mana for something else instead of removing something.
But there are some good sorcery removal spells, like Green Black from Strixhaven says wipe the entire board of cEDH staples. Culling Ritual.
Yes, Culling Ritual is a great removal. That's one of the removals that's also considered a board wipe, just because a lot of creatures in cEDH are 2 mana or less, and a lot of the rocks in cEDH are 2 mana or less, including the enchantments. You can hit Mystic Remora, you can hit Underworld Breach, you can hit Sylvan Library, Carpet of Flowers. It just hits a lot of good cards, so letting Culling Ritual resolve kind of wins you the game. I remember resolving it.
Pretty much should.
I remember resolving it one time, getting 18 mana, split it evenly with black and green, and then went, cool, tap my 1 red, drop Dockside, and boom.
Yeah.
It gets there.
So the one time I've played it, I was playing against a lot of I used to play it in casual because I was like, oh, this would probably be a good casual card. I played it once, and this was like turn 12 in a casual game. This got me 84 mana, because I was playing against a Sithith player, a Artifact player, and just a guy who's playing like just normal stuff. And so you don't realize how much just insane amount of incremental value that gives, because it's just like all of their stuff just was like, all of their supporting pieces, Soul Rings, Arcane Signets, your Sithis, and all of these things were just gone, washed away, reduced to atoms. Well, mana in this case, but you get the idea. And so it just was like, wow, I literally can't do anything with this amount of mana. And so I was like, oh, I can't play this in casual anymore. So it just became cEDH card in my mind. And probably, I don't say it's one of the best removal pieces. I would still say that's probably stuff like
Abrupt Decay.
Abrupt Decay
is really good. Assassin's Trophy. Lightning Bolt. Sword. Path.
Rollick, the 3 commander spells.
Tectonic Rift is probably the best in cEDH.
Really?
Yes. Just because it doesn't hit your stuff.
Well, I'm like considering it's like I'm only casting usually that to win if I cast it, because I'm never casting it, because it's like if I need to remove one thing, I'm just going to remove the one thing, and I'd rather have it not be countered.
Yeah, but it's the best board wipe because it doesn't hit your things.
Yeah,
and if there's like multiple journalists on board, or multiple Esper Sentinels, or Electric Feathers, or anything that provides value for everyone, you're just able to get rid of it all at once, forcing them to either discard down to hand size on their turn, or you just end up winning the game right then and there because now they have no rocks to tap or anything like that.
Unless they're smart about it and float them in.
Mm-hmm. But that's when you just move phases.
Yeah. Yeah. So
for players, moving phases so your opponents have no mana is a good way to win the game.
Unless, of course, they have things that like specifically say they don't lose mana, but that's yeah, I was about to say that's very rare to survive a Cyclonic Rift anyway. So It definitely depends on like what you're trying to do. Also, there's also like this weird kind of like variance of like creature removal. So like removal that's stacked on creatures. A good example of this being Gilded Drake. Absolutely despise that card. Wish it was destroyed, reduced to atoms, which it is by Culling Ritual. Because all it does is just pay 2 mana. I take that. It's mine now. Creature, and any problematic creature.
You get to keep a Drake, and you don't get to keep it.
You get their best permanent. A best creature, essentially.
Yep. And if you don't have removal, then copy what's bothering you with like Phantasmal Image or another clone.
Yeah. So like removal is such an interesting like concept, especially now in EDH because it's like one of the more dynamic elements of interaction. And we haven't even touched counter spells because technically those are removal, but that's like this never happened. We will completely skip over this. The only thing that was lost is that you tapped mana to the person who got countered. But so yeah, that's like all I kind of have to say on removal. What about you?
Removal is necessary for the game. It allows you to interact a lot. It allows you to make sure that no one is able to just make a board state that can't be solved with something.
Yeah.
If you're not in proper colors for good removal, then you'll always end up finding something. Black has Slaughter Pact, Feed the Swarm.
Black is the removal color.
Yeah,
You would probably be talking about stuff like green, blue, and white. No, white is also a removal color, so it would be green and blue. Because green has all of the damage.
Yeah. Lightning.
Chain lightning.
Fewer the critics.
Blue also has a lot of good stuff too, Enchant of Vapor, Resculpt.
The most one that doesn't have a good amount of removal or texture base that is.
Some enchantments, green's your dude, especially if you're trying to do it and not have people interact with you. Croson Grip has saved my bacon a couple of times against a little known commander called Heliod, who's just like, oh hey, I will once you lose the game.
This is why we like Golgari. Golgari is the best of both worlds. You have all the creature hate and you have all the artifact enchantment hate.
You just have blue to that and you have all the spell hate, just like that's why the soul type player he's the Jund player. He hates blue.
I hate it with passion. That's why I play Jund. I have all the red counter spells for blue, and I have Guttural Response, the one green red counter spell.
Yeah, I just play all the dumb good stuff. Now, I will not be above playing a Dovin's Veto. Dovin's Veto is kind of real good. I like it, Dovin's Veto.
Players can still respond, even though it can't be countered.
They can bounce it back to your hand. One of the other Paradox Engine players really likes bouncing people's spells to hand using a little card called what's that crab thing that bounces spells when he casts stuff?
Wallbreaker Horror.
Yeah, he really likes using that to.
It's a Kraken.
Well, it has to crawl across. It goes.
Spell, yeah, it's a horror.
Yeah. It's essentially just like table flipping all of the spells out of the stack and back into your hands where you suffer in silence as you wait for this player to end their turn. Not salty, just a lot of experience with that. So much experience.
Remember, removal isn't bad. It's a necessary evil in the game that needs to be used and used appropriately.
You have to not be okay. So last point I'll make is that you can't be the like in casual you can be the table police. In cEDH you kind of have to be like you have to be more like a monarch in terms of like you're making deals and like you have to be political about it. You have to be a leader. You have to be more Games of Thronesy about it. To be like, oh hey, I'll get rid of that thing if you get rid of that thing, and you have to be a lot more flexible with your removal as opposed to just being like, that involves really making my deck want to like not do anything, and I'm just gonna kill it. You have to like be a lot more careful because that removing that one ball might have the player to the next of you win the game because they can have all their mana attack. So it becomes a lot more of a tool in politics because a lot of people say, oh, cEDH isn't the political format where usually is more political. Unless you're me and I just play unhinged and I'm just like, try and stop me. I'm throwing everything at the wall. And if you can, cool. If you can't, sucks. Get good.
Things will stick when you throw everything out the wall.
Yeah. Jensen specifically does that, and I love my boy.
Well, that's all for us today. Like and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see y'all later. This was Paradox Engine.